Okay, this will be a good one, hopefully. This one's a bit of a challenge. Let's see what we are going to use. 200, or we're going at 200. Going to make this into something interesting. This will be a little bit challenging to try and get it to look good. We're doing a movement piece, so it's going to be a little bit tricky and hard to control to get something looking really, really good out of something that's not really that good. It's got some good elements. Anyway, it is WEA Sydney, which is a learning company, WEA courses. I'm not interested in courses. I don't have the ability to learn because my brain was damaged at birth, so I'm not able to make use of this kind of education. And I'm not even interested, to be quite honest, either. So it's a combination of not having the brain power to learn. No, I'm not stupid, folks. It's just the hippocampus and the short-term memory that have been mostly damaged. Because I had a cord around my neck and I came out breech, which meant I had oxygen cut off. And for all I know, I was probably clinically dead. So, yeah, that looks shit. I was pretty well clinically dead. And there weren't any doctors or nurses there to help me during this tragic birth. And it wasn't nice. My mum was actually injured because I came out feet first, so it wasn't a very pretty kind of birth. But it's not going to stop me from achieving great things, because one day they'll have the technology to fix the brain damage. It'll be in the form of bionic brain parts, artificial intelligence, quantum computers, as well as classical computers, to be used to help repair the damage and to give my brain what you could call full functionality. So one day I want to use this powerful technology to become a CEO and a scientist. I want to build a photocopier company that does good for the planet and good for the human race. I want to make photocopiers that are artificially intelligent and that the hardware lasts 60 years, not 5 years. And that the materials used in this photocopier will be, as much as possible, recycled materials. Recycled materials, folks, not ripped out of the ground from a mine. In other words, virgin materials. We want recycled materials as much as we can. And we've got to make the machine, when it finally reaches the end of its serviceable life, we've got to make the machine easy to pull apart for recycling. We've got to think of the future, folks. We've got to think of the future. Otherwise, the human race could go extinct. And as a scientist, I want to find solutions like to climate change, because I don't think the human race is going to pull up the fossil fuels fast enough. And we have to find a solution to fix the problem after it's happened. So if we get a 5-degree raise in temperature, I think it's calibrated from since the beginning or just before the Industrial Revolution, pre-industrial times. We're going to have to reverse that, and that's the job I want to do as a scientist. Is I want to reverse the climate change and bring the temperatures back down again, back down to those low temperatures that we haven't seen for how many years, how many decades? A very long time. I'm thinking we're going to take a section out of this. I think this one it's hard to tell which one I like. And basically I want to harness the power of lightning so that we can have another form of renewable energy. So we're going to photocopy that. So we're going to try and find solutions to things, and we're going to also try and clean up the plastics from the ocean. And basically that's another feature of this new generation of photocopier, is that it's going to use much less plastic. We're going to use more metals, more natural type materials, metal. over plastic. Plastic, we get too much plastic. We use plastic for things like wiring harnesses, wiring, insulation for wiring, and this looks really good. And basically, we use it for plugs and sockets, but we don't use it for panels. We don't use it for a chassis. We don't use it as an interior. We got to pull back on the fucking use of plastic. No more fucking excessive uses of that dreadful, horrible material. It's a disgusting material. I don't like it. The less plastic we use, the happier I'm going to be. I hate plastic, folks. As much as it has its uses, as I've stated, we're using it too often and too frequently. So there's all these issues we have to solve in this world, and currently the kind of people who are running the corporations and all that are not fit to do their job. They're not fit for purpose. They don't do their job properly, and they don't care. I'm wondering if this is going to be any good, or we're going to do another one. So they don't really care about the planet. They don't care about the human race or the quality of the product. They just care about themselves and their money. And that's the kind of people we have running companies like this one, Konica Minolta. We have a guy called Shohei Yamana, and he's made this shit product. And I'm really over his love of money. It shows in the workmanship, shows in how the machine operates. Even changing a toner cartridge, you can hear the plasticky clack clack. It's not a nice feel, and it feels really hard to do that, to change a toner cartridge without the fear of breakage. Oh, this is an interesting picture. I'm actually thinking we're going to use one of the earlier ones, or maybe we'll try another one. So we have to think about the environment and the future of mankind, folks. And also, when you're using recycled materials, it's much less energy intensive. It's going to produce less CO2, but we got to stop using fossil fuels like coal and gas in electricity. We got to basically switch to renewables. Otherwise, this climate change will just keep going up and up and up. So yeah. But it's not going to stop. I know it's not going to stop, folks. These rich people are too entrenched in their evil old ways. So we have to fucking find a solution when finally the human race comes to its senses and knows that it's done the wrong thing by nature and by the human race. I'm actually thinking one of these. I'm not sure. I'm not getting a really good result. I'm thinking a section out of there. We'll do that. But basically, yeah, we have to fucking put our heads together. But I don't feel that there'll be many people. I feel that the technology I have will really help me do a lot of this work on my own. Because I have faith that the people who want to make a difference for the future are already working on the brain implant that's going to give me the ability to do all these wonderful future-friendly things. At the moment, I'm just another disabled person. I don't have any say in the way the world is run. I don't have any ability to learn fast enough to be a scientist or a CEO, but I have a fucking strong ability to imagine a brighter future in the hands of the right types of people. And I have faith that there is someone out there working on this equipment. This quantum computer that I talk about has to be able to function at normal temperatures. A typical quantum computer, or the kind that they have these days, like a D-Wave, has to be frozen to a very, very low temperature, apparently colder than deep space is what they say. And that's just not acceptable if it's going to be a neuroprosthesis for my brain. So there's a lot of work that has to be done before I can finally be liberated from being disabled, from being moderately impaired by my brain damage. It's going to take some time before they get the technology, but I do have faith that those people are working on it, folks. I'm actually thinking this one might be better. So I really trust that there are people out there who are doing the right thing. They're not rich, and that's the funny thing. They're probably not rich, but they know that what they're doing is the right thing, and they'll put as much money as they need to into research in order to bring about this kind of innovation. Someone's got to think, because a lot of people just don't. They don't think hard enough, people. People are so consumed by what's on television, what's in the movies. They don't really have any concept of what can be done in reality, what can be achieved if real life people can put their heads together and make a difference. We got to fucking move beyond fantasy. We've got to move beyond movies, move beyond just checking your social media for your friends. You got to move beyond that. You got to think of the human race. You got to think of the planet. I know it's hard because these rich people who've got power and money and these big companies have the power. You've got to think for a brighter future. Maybe try your best to just be yourselves as well. I must admit, this is not turning out as well as I was hoping this would, to be honest, folks. I'm actually wondering what the centre of this job is going to be. I'm going to make that. This is not the greatest demo, folks. I must admit. I know it's been probably a good speech, but it's not been the kind of demo that I want. And it's a really long, prolongated piece. So we're going to make it 300. So yeah, it's but basically we have to think for the future, folks. We can't just live in fantasy land watching movies and watching daytime TV and all that sort of shit and consuming heaps of product, which means more pollution and more money in the pockets of assholes. You got to think for yourselves, and you got to think outside the box. There's got to be a way around this problem with the environment and the rich people who currently are trashing it with their fucking, like Konica Minolta. I don't have any faith that Konica Minolta are recycling their materials. Most e-waste does end up dumped or burned, so it's not I don't have much hope for the way the companies like Konica Minolta are dealing with things, because they just make their equipment last a very short time and then it's no good. I had to replace my old C353 with this model, this C227, because my machine became unserviceable. The company that I got it off basically couldn't guarantee. The spare parts were obviously not guaranteed by Konica Minolta, and therefore could not be guaranteed by the company that I use. It's not their fault. It's not Mytronics' fault. Mytronics is the name of the company that I got this one and my old one from. I don't have to deal with Konica Minolta on its own. Thank goodness Mytronics do a very good job under the circumstances. But basically, I had to take out a bank loan to replace the old machine. Otherwise, you wouldn't see any more of my fucking videos. I'd have to go outside to a library, and that's not a very good place to video when you consider people don't like you videoing in public, so in public places. So yeah, I'm actually wondering how this is going to look. This looks a bit too boring. I was actually wondering if the other side would look good, but I think we can call this one quits. This is a prolongated one. I think now we can call this demo quits.